everyone, it's Madison with PH Doodling. I'm so excited today to share with you my 2021 bullet journal setup. This year I'll be using a notebook from Archer and Olive. I purchased this A5 notebook called Dandelion Dreams and I absolutely love it. This notebook has a nice linen cover and the paper is very heavyweight. You can do anything from doodling with markers up to paint. I couldn't recommend it more. I was absolutely in love with it when it came in the mail, and when I started creating these spreads I couldn't believe how smooth the paper was, and I am so excited to use this throughout the next year. If you're interested in purchasing a Archer and Olive notebook, I have a 15% off coupon code, which I will link down in the description of this video. And as I said, I cannot recommend it more. They are a little bit pricey, but the quality is definitely worth it. Last year, the notebook that I worked in, I did have problems with the markers bleeding through the pages, and that is definitely not going to be a problem this year. It was actually really hard for me to pick which notebook I wanted. There are so many options available on the website. It took me several days to narrow it down to this green notebook. I decided I really liked the green color and also the sweet dandelion image that was on the front. As you can see, I'm working here on my cover page. I decided to do a theme to tie into the green color of my notebook, doing kind of a floral leaf theme for my setup pages. So I created this wreath with the sentiment Hello 2021 and decided to tie in some pinks and greens for this setup. Here I outlined my doodles with my Micron Pigma pen, and I'm adding color with some of my Tombow and Crayola markers. And the finishing touch is to finally write in the sentiment in the middle of my wreath. I'm using just my Crayola marker to write out Hello 2021. I liked how simple and clean this cover page was. I knew I wanted something to look at the beginning of my notebook, but I didn't want it to be too detailed. But I love how it turned out. Moving on to my next spread, which is my future log. I really like having a future log as a place to put important dates, obviously that are going to be occurring in the future, as I only set up my bullet journal month by month, so it's a great place to have an overview of the entire year's worth of events. For my future log, I decided to do 2 separate spreads just so I had enough room for each month. Last year I didn't have enough room for future dates in each month, and so I wanted to make sure I had plenty of room going in 2021 for hopefully all the events that we will be having this year. I decided to split each page into 3 so that I can fit all 12 months within each of these 4-page spreads. You can see here I'm just doodling out my floral leaf design across the top of the spreads. I really like how this turned out. I had a lot of fun drawing these roses. I basically just did a simple swirl in the middle and kind of added some leaves on the outside and added other leaves throughout and smaller tulips and such to kind of fill it in. I really had a lot of fun creating these doodles. Last year, my beginning bullet journal setup, I did a very minimalistic theme using black and gray, and while I liked it, I wished I would have done something a little more colorful and bright, just because I look at this so frequently throughout every month, so I'm hoping I'll enjoy looking at this throughout the entire year of 2021. Now that I have completed the top banner up there, I'm going to work on creating the calendars. When I started filming this setup video, I wasn't for sure how I wanted to letter the months across these pages here, and so I just am showing you here kind of how I was practicing on my spare journal to kind of get the font that I wanted to use throughout this setup. You can see I finally decided on what I wanted to do. After I practiced enough times to felt good to go, then I was ready to actually letter the month on my actual page. And I decided to do kind of just a block lettering and then outline it to kind of make it stand out a little bit more. I really like how it looked. It was kind of clean and simple. Again, I wanted this to be very easy to use and easy to read because I do use it so frequently throughout the year. And finally, the most tedious part is actually just writing in the calendar. I actually chose to write out every day of the week and 1 through 30, 31, however many days there are in each month. I used my Muji pen just because it was a little bit finer and I wanted to just kind of make sure it looked nice and clean. So I went ahead and filled all this out. It was a lot of work, but it will be very useful in the coming months. And I decided to actually go ahead and outline each of the months just with my black Micron pen to kind of just fill it in a little bit more, making sure that they're all kind of even and consistent. I don't always outline all my lettering, but when I want it to really stand out, I do outline it because it does take a lot of extra time, and I do often have to even go back and color in some of the white space that was created after I outlined it. Finally, I decided to take my ruler and just draw a straight line between each of the months, so I'm sure to keep all the events and such separated. And my plan throughout the year to fill this out is to highlight the date on my mini calendar for the event or whatever deadline I need to know, and then write the details below in that empty space. And here you have my future log for the first 6 months of 2021. I also did the same layout for the remaining 6 months of 2021, July through December, as you can see here. I really like how it turned out. I think it's really clean, and I'm excited to use it. The next spread I will be creating is my swatch page. This spread is a lot of work to complete, and it took me a lot of time before I even filmed this to get it all set up. You can see here that I have created circles for each of my different types of markers that I use frequently throughout my bullet journaling. And what I did was I divided each of those circles up by the number of markers that I had to create kind of this grid to fill in each color. I had the idea to create this because I was always swatching my markers on scratch pieces of paper all the time, and I got really annoyed after having to do that. And so I thought how great of an idea would be to have a page that had all my markers swatched on it so I could look for the colors that I wanted to complete my setup. Especially for those Crayola markers, the super tip markers, if you are a frequent user of those, you know that the lid does not actually match the color of ink that is in the marker. And so those especially I got frustrated with and found that I wasn't using them as frequently because I thought the color was actually something very different. And I found that after swatching out these colors, I use all my markers more frequently because I know what I have and what they're actually going to look like. So you can see I've completed the left-hand side of this page. I really love how it looks, and it's really fun to see all of the colors swatched out on the spread. I'm now currently filling out the grids for my Crayola markers here on the right-hand side. I have the 100 pack of the Crayola Supertips. I originally had the 50 pack, but then I found out there was 100 and I had to have it because I love all things stationaries. In order to generate this swatch page, I labeled my Crayola markers 1 through 100. I did this by laying them out in rainbow order and assigning them a number 1 through 100 so that I was able to know what color corresponded to which number. You can see there I was showing you the labels that I used. I used clear label tape from my label maker. It was a lot of work to print out all 100 labels and add them to my marker tips, but it was definitely something that was really worth my time because I'm able to use them a lot easier and more frequently throughout all of my spreads. So here you can see my completed swatch page. I absolutely love how it turned out. It was a lot of work to create, but again, I will use it almost every day when I'm using and creating my spreads. This next spread is my grid guide. This is very helpful when I'm needing to count how many boxes I have when I'm dividing up the page to create monthly or weekly layouts. I first started by numbering 1 through 26 across the top for the number of boxes that I have, and then 1 through 38 going down the length of the page. I added just a simple little title in the middle with a few roses to tie in my theme. And finally, I drew a quick guide for creating multiple columns on one-page spreads. I did calculations for 2, 3, 4, and 5 columns. At the top, I did the calculations, so I had a blank box between each column, and at the bottom I did it where they were just continuous, because sometimes I do like to leave a space and other times I don't. So now I know off the top how many boxes I need to count depending on how many columns I want to create. This grid guide saves me some time when I'm setting up my weekly spread so that I don't always have to calculate how many boxes I need to create specific columns. And here's the finished spread. Love how it turned out. Moving on to my brain dump page. This is something new that I added into my setup this year. I don't normally have a blank page, but I thought it might be good to just have a general location where I'm able to jot down notes or other things that I'm needing to remind myself of or things that I need to look up. I added a few roses up at the top to add some color, but for the most part I left this page pretty blank, just so I have plenty of room to write things throughout the year. Alright, moving on to my final spread for this 2021 bullet journal setup, which is going to be my monthly themes. This is something that I started last year, and I wanted to continue it for 2021. My plan is to fill out each one of these circles. There's one for each month of the year with the theme that I used for that month. I thought this would be a great way to see an overview of the year as a whole, and also just kind of a reflection of my progress and growth as a doodler and bullet journalist throughout the year. I used my black Tombow marker to draw these 12 circles and also letter 2021 monthly themes in the center. I wanted to keep it very simple and use black, knowing that I was going to add a lot of color when I add in my themes for each of the months. The last step needed to complete this spread is actually going in and adding in the month for each of the circles. I just went ahead and used my Micron pen to assign a month to each of the circles. I didn't use any specific order. It was hard to kind of make 12 circles fit on the page, so I just kind of did it the best that I could. Looking forward to filling out this spread throughout 2021 and being able to reflect on all the great themes that I'm going to complete. So now let's go ahead and take a quick flip through of this 2021 setup. I really had a lot of fun creating this setup. I'm so excited to use my new Archer in Olive notebook throughout 2021. I hope you took some inspiration from this video. Maybe you'll use some of these pages in your setup. If you do, let me know. Tag me on Instagram. I'd be so excited to see your recreations. I hope you had a lot of fun with me, and I can't wait to see what the new year brings. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe to receive notifications about future videos from PH Doodling. Thanks for watching. See you next time.